Yo, what's good? We
What's
live
up? We alive, man.
and already got some chats. What's happening? If you are a subscriber to Durante Lamar or to Ichabod, we definitely appreciate all of you in the chat already. Trying to see if I see any of my Patreons in the joint. Uh,
Man.
okay. Mr. Morpheus, I saw your call come through, bro, but I was getting ready for this. I'll hit you up afterwards.
Oh man. Man, I see we're getting a lot of love in the chat. That's beautiful. Wow, and already.
All right. So if you got super chats, throw them in the joint. We're gonna get to them eventually. But first of all, let's just they said this is a power team.
Yes.
Uh, I gotta say, you tell me if I'm wrong. I called it, Durante. I called it when I first interviewed you. What was it, about
100%,
a year
man.
ago?
Yeah. Yeah.
You've been working like, bro. You've been putting in work for the last year
Man.
on this thing.
Man. Yeah, it's a passion, man. Like I think literally in the interview with you, one of the things you said to me, you said, I don't know how you kept this under wraps for so long. And like, man, you have no idea how pertinent that was, because it had been a struggle for me. Like I think as y'all can see now, I'm a very talkative person. I'm a very opinionated person. I have a lot of ideas, and that's why preaching was natural for me. I naturally gravitated to that. It matches me so perfectly.
Yeah.
So not talking about the things that were really important to me was really hard. So when I came out that closet, man, it wasn't, all this stuff has been built up. You know,
Yeah.
these are conversations I've been having with myself for a whole decade. And finally being
Mm.
able to get them out is just
Yeah,
been
man.
like, it's been therapy.
Yeah, man. So I don't know if I didn't have the YouTube channel, if I didn't have Facebook, because I'm always active on Facebook,
Yeah.
I don't know what I would be doing, because it's, there's so much, like you said, you're talking to yourself, you're reconditioning your own mind. If anybody's
Yes.
ever had braces, you wear that retainer for the rest of your life because your teeth want to shift back to what they were doing before you got them shifted.
Yes.
And sometimes, like the content that we make, it helps to keep our minds, so that we renewed our minds from what we thought was true in Christianity.
Yeah.
You get a new mind, but if you don't keep that brace on, you could slip back.
Yep.
So you talk to yourself often. You talk to yourself all the time. I find myself rethinking thoughts I thought when I was a Christian,
Yes.
rethinking them now. And at some point, it was like, yo, turn that outward. Somebody else needs to hear this.
Yes.
And that's what you've been doing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. Good
100%.
stuff.
100%.
And
Man.
your missus is in the chat. Let me throw it on the screen there.
Oh, snap. Oh, that's my baby. That's my
So,
baby.
do you also have the ability to throw stuff on the screen?
Let me check and see. Nope, I can see them, but it won't let me click them.
Okay. If there's something that needs to get thrown on the screen and I miss it, let me know. And
Okay.
I did see a couple of super chats. We will get to those. But if you got
Awesome.
more, throw them in.
Beautiful.
Yeah, but yeah, like I said, a year ago, when we talked, one of the things I said to you was, there's space for you, there's room for you.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of African American counter apologists, and if you're not a counter apologist, just former believers that are speaking out. Do you consider yourself part of the counter apologist crowd, or you're just Durante, former Christian? Like, how do you? Oh, looks like you're either staring intently or you froze up again.
There we go. I was trying to figure out what was going on. Okay, so I caught the last thing I caught. You said as far as the space that I'm in, I consider myself in the deconstruction space.
Okay.
Deconstruction, reconstruction space. I don't necessarily consider myself a counter apologist, even though I know the information that I provide is helpful for people who are counter apologists.
Yeah.
I'm more so focused on the people who are actively deconstructing and the people who are interested in reconstructing, as far as what they're trying to build towards.
And you know what? That's one thing. Like, I don't know if there's anything I've ever done that you could take from me, but that's one thing I think I could take from you is I've been so focused on helping people deconstruct and deconvert. I haven't yet got to the stage of reconstructing.
Yeah.
And so I appreciate that about what you and what Danae are doing. Yeah, I really appreciate that. So yeah, props to you, man. But we here tonight. This is Sinners on Sinners.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. there are people who are. I watched several different interviews of people about this, not interviews, podcasts about this, and I thought coming from the space that we came from as believers,
Yes.
it would be great for us to chop it up. I'm doing a talk with my Patreons on my channel Sunday, this coming Sunday at 1
Wow.
p.m. on sinners. So there's
Awesome.
going to be, maybe 20, 30 of us just on Zoom chopping it up.
Man.
I was looking for a podcast episode or interview with some kind of breakdown that we could use on my channel. And as I was looking for that, you posted that you had 20 pages of notes.
Yep.
I was like, well, damn, why am I looking for another video? I could just
Man.
get with Durante and glean from what you're doing. So you had 20 pages of notes. What was your overall how did it impact you? I guess the first time you saw it, because we both saw it multiple times.
Okay, so like,
oh no. I hope it's not. I hope it's not my end that's freezing, but every once in a while you freeze up.
now, okay, and now I'm back.
All right. So do you see a glitch on your end? Because sometimes I'm like, is it me or is it on your end?
When it disappears, what happens is both.
And you're frozen again. Hey, maybe in the chat y'all can help me out. Am I freezing? Is Durante freezing? What are y'all seeing? Okay, so I'm fine. Durante is intermittent.
Yeah, that is, man.
Are you hardwired in or are you on wireless?
I'm hardwired.
And that's wild because I'm on wireless. So I would have thought it was me. I was about to plug my cord in, but they said it's not me.
Nah, yeah. It has to be something on my end.
Well, all of us are a little too grown to run the old joke that this is Satan or God messing with the technology. We've been here a little too long for all that.
For sure. Oh man.
If it keeps up, then I don't know. Maybe we'll have to find something else.
Yeah.
I could do this on Zoom. I don't typically ever have problems on Zoom. Sometimes I have problems on StreamYard, but if it's on your end, I don't really know what to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to keep monitoring my internet. I've disconnected my VPN because that's what I thought it was at first. But we'll keep seeing what's happening here.
All right. And like I said, if you see somebody that we need to shout out, let me know. I see a couple of my Patreon supporters up there. This Guide to the Galaxy. What's up?
I see Essence, Carrie Ann, Ryan, is good to see you in the chat. Amy, Nicole, look at the trees. Man, just a lot of beautiful people here.
Yeah.
Showing up.
Hey, if you have not seen Sinners yet, just know this is going to be all kinds of spoiler. So just be prepared for that. But I was asking we both saw the film multiple times. What was your first initial impact?
Yeah. So when I first watched it, I was cautious because I didn't have high hopes for it. I did not have high hopes for it. And I'm a Coogler fan. I just didn't like Killmonger, how they wrote him in Black Panther, because I'm a Marvel fan. And much of Magneto is based off of the language of people like Malcolm X, which is why Magneto comes off as such a nuanced character, that even though he's supposed to be presented as somewhat of a villain, you can kind of feel where he's coming from. And I felt like Killmonger was robbed of that. I was a little disappointed with that. He just came off more reckless and hurt. And to me, that's how the Black Power movement often gets framed. But that's not how it actually is,
Okay. Interesting. So you have much more going into your assessment than me. Yep. I didn't like him as Killmonger, not because I wasn't a Marvel fan. I was not a comic books fan.
Okay.
It was an expensive habit, and I grew up poor, so I couldn't I couldn't keep up. That and video games, I was like, nah, I'm out. But there's a few movies I've seen Michael B. Jordan in that I just was like, I didn't like him in what was the Justice one where he did the
Was that the
Just Mercy?
yeah, okay, yeah. I
I
didn't even
didn't
see
like
that
him
one.
in that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then a couple of lines in Black Panther that it wasn't believable for me.
Mhm.
Like it was like,
Yep.
and so I didn't
Yep.
have high hopes because of that. But in terms of Ryan Coogler, I know he kills it. I
Yep.
loved him in
Yep.
Creed. I love both of them, what they did with Creed. So you didn't have high hopes. So you go into it, and then what happens?
I go into it, I'm watching it from beginning to end. It opens up with the church scene, and my mind is, because I'm like, I did this with the Book of Clarence, right? I did this. I went in and I said they're not going to do the Jesus thing at the end. That they're not. And so when I saw the church scene, I was like, damn it, I already know where this is going. And so that had already set me on edge. But the more I was watching it through, the first thing that caught me off guard was the color shifting. Throughout the whole movie, the color shifts from red to blue throughout the whole movie. And it's like, it could be 1 second, 2 seconds, 5 seconds, but it's shifting throughout the whole movie. And I was like, why is he doing that? And that actually really caught me. And so I'm like, okay, so there's a lot of thought going on here, right? The more the scenes begin to kind of unravel, I was pulled in. Like I was trying to work while watching it at the same time. And I couldn't get any work done because the way the stories, I was like, no, I get this. I know what's going on here.
Okay.
And then like by the middle of the movie, and I think that's when I was like, I think I like this movie. By the middle of the movie, I was realizing that I know why he chose twins. I know why he's using Smoke and Stack. This is not two people. This is one person.
Are you going where I think you're going? Are you going anywhere near
W.B. Du Bois? Yes, absolutely.
All right, so hold on. Let's we got to slow walk them. We got to slow walk to that point. Come on. So I didn't pay attention to the color shifting, but as you paid attention, Stack was often, he was red and then Smoke was blue. As the colors shifted, did they shift along with the characters?
Yes, it shifts along with and not just them two, it shifts along with all of the characters.
Okay.
And it's basically almost like a
no. They're freezing up. He'll be back, ladies and gentlemen. Just like Jesus. No, hopefully not like Jesus. But what's up? I see. What's up, Crystal? Thank you for doing what you're doing in the chat. Thank you, Pragmatic Crystal. SGs, what's going on? Yeah, we're going to get this worked out. But Durante mentioned a minute ago the reason why he chose twins. If you know anything about W.E.B. Du Bois' writing, he talks about the double consciousness of the Black person in America, being African American, having two different identities or two different consciences. And so Durante is saying, I think he wrote the story for twins to embody that double consciousness. And I don't know if I see that, but I think that would be very clever if that's what's going on. So when he pops back in, we'll get on that. My first thought, I loved the movie. I tried to just take it in. I didn't have low expectations. I came into it. And here's why I didn't have low expectations. Because I know there's so much hateration going on in the world today that if the movie was assailable at all, that people would have been assailing it, like from all kind of angles. But the only thing that people were saying about it was for it to be an independent or for it to be, all these other things. Like they were trying to say it was good for such and such. Hold on for a second. I think this might be Durante texting. Okay, he says he's resetting his router. So I'll walk us through my initial thoughts while he resets his router. Let me let him know I got him. So as I'm hearing people talk about the movie, oh, here he is.
I came back. I did better than Jesus. Did better than Jesus. Beat his record.
You've been redeemed. You're brought back. I'm walking through my initial thoughts and why I didn't have low expectations.
Yeah.
I know that there's so many people who hate on stuff these days that if there's one little thing that you could find you're going to talk about, oh, I didn't like it because of this. So you want to be the first one to tell
Yep.
people why you didn't like it.
Yep.
And there was none of that. And I said,
Man.
okay, anytime you get this close to release and there's no, if only they would have this, or only they would have that.
Yeah.
And then it came out in the first week, there still was no, it was just like little hater type stuff. Like, oh, well, because, it was an independent movie, then it should have been this. Or it was nothing about the film itself.
Right.
And that made me say, they must have killed it. I had a feeling. I was a little leery because, like I said, Michael B. Jordan, sometimes the way he delivers lines, it's not believable.
Yeah.
But I went in trusting, and I was not disappointed at all.
See, and that's the thing. Like I went in like not trusting and came out on the other side like a new man. That film, like honestly, it restored my faith in Black media,
Wow.
which is something I've been looking forward to for a while. It was impressive from beginning to end, man. Like he made some impressive choices. The act one of the story was beautiful in getting you drawn in and showing the diversity of the South. And as a person who grew up in the South, that was 100% relatable to me. Like one of the cities that I grew up in called Midland City, like when in the 80s, it looked like that, like what he's
Wow.
so I could, I still saw that. And a lot of times when people think of the South, they only think black and white. And so I love the fact that they included the Asians because that's been a part of my life ever since I was a kid. We used to have a place called the Vegetable Stand where I'd go buy my cigarettes when I was a kid. And it was the store owned by the Vietnamese people. I dated the daughter at one point, but it was always intertwined. And so to see somebody do that in a Southern story, a story about the South, that was beautiful, man.
Well, you know what's interesting to me, and we're going to have to get into all this, the lens through which you saw this. Like there's sometimes when you go, and I don't know, I guess just being African American, we grew up, especially if you grew up in the 80s and 90s like we did, it still was a time, aside from Cosby and A Different World, you still were looking at the world through lenses that were made for you by white America. And so you kind of knew it wasn't really telling your story. And if it was telling your story through somebody else's eyes. But it felt like going into this movie, like I didn't have to take off my glasses and put on someone else's. I could watch it through this felt very comfortable, very at home. And maybe somebody else for a change would have to take off their glasses and put on mine. And that's sort of the sense I got when I was in there. Yeah.
Man, that's good. That's good. How surprised were you about the vampires?
So I had an experience before. I don't know if you ever saw the movie Dusk Till Dawn or something like that. What's the the vampire movie? I went to see that years ago in the theater, and I did not know it was a vampire movie.
Okay.
And so just like this one, they wait till about maybe half an hour in, and they spring the vampires on you. I literally got up and walked out of Dusk Till Dawn because I didn't know it was a vampire movie. I was so mad. It was so good that when they sprung the vampires on me, I was like, what? And I got up and left. I never went back and I never watched it again.
Dang.
Now I might have to go back and watch it because I knew this was a vampire movie. And I like the fact that they didn't rush you into it. They sort of let you get into, like you said, into the country, into the relationships. And then when they got to it, I appreciated it. So I wasn't mad. I mean, I knew what it was in for.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I don't like vampire movies. Like I can barely do zombies.
I'm not a zombie movie.
You know what I mean? I don't really do vampires. But because it was grounded in the history that they were grounding it in, I just took it all.
Man. And so, I guess that's another thing. Now, I am a vampire movie fan. I've loved the Anne Rice novels. Vampire in Brooklyn is one of my favorite Eddie Murphy movies. What's they just remade one of the vampires. The only
Interview
vampire
with
movie.
a Vampire?
Huh? Interview. Yes. That was a masterpiece for me. And I watched that as a child. And I loved it. So that was another area of caution for me too, because I'm just like, how are you gonna do this with vampires in it? I don't know. And so I was scared. I didn't know what type of lore you were gonna attach it to.
Yeah.
and he went a direction that I could not have guessed, and that made it even richer for me, you know.
Well, yeah, you sent me your notes. There's a few things you said in your notes, and I'm like, I don't know if I can see that. So I want to talk. I
Yes.
want to hash it out there.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so the opening scene. Are you familiar with the spoken word artist Saul Williams?
No.
So I didn't realize. My sister actually. We went back and saw it. I saw it with my sister twice. At the end of the movie, she was like, "Yo, is that Saul Williams, the guy that played the father, the preacher?"
Yeah.
Is a spoken word artist from, I guess he's like from the early 2000s. He was like the hottest spoken word back during like Death Poetry Jam and all that.
Yeah.
Saul Williams, though, is ridiculous with the spoken word. He
Wow.
played the father, the preacher.
I did not know that.
Yeah, you gotta check his stuff. Anybody in the comments, if you knew that was Saul Williams, what you think about him? He killed it.
Man, that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
I thought coming in. So here's what I thought. When
Okay.
they showed Preacher Boy get out the car holding the guitar, and then the preacher's like, "Drop the guitar, son, drop the guitar." I thought they were going to rush right into it, and I thought he was going to actually hit the preacher with the guitar, like
Guitar, yeah.
grab him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, they about to just go right into it," but they
I
didn't.
did
do
have that feeling. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because they set it up like that too, because for those of us who already knew that it was a vampire movie, they set it up where he gets permission to go into the church.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking clearly he's been turned, he's a vampire, but at that moment I'm thinking, like, by the time I realize how deep they're getting into it and they start showing the kind of flashbacks, and I'm like, oh, okay, so he did have the encounter with the vampire. Maybe he's about to get delivered at church. And again, like that's when I was like, now I'm gonna be on my now I gotta be on my guard. Now I gotta be on my guard.
So part of my motivation for wanting to even see the movie was because of how angry Christians were getting about it.
Oh yes.
So there was a couple of lines that had Christians incensed, and then there was it's demonic and all that.
Mhm.
I wanted to see it just to like be able to like basically not make fun of anyone, but just say like, this is what you're upset about.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was pleasantly surprised that they really didn't do what I thought they did. Like the way the Christians were talking about it,
Oh,
they weren't.
man.
There's one scene where they really take a dig at Christianity.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you don't ever really see it again outside of that scene in the church.
Like, I think I only can think of two subtle scenes where Christianity even gets mentioned outside of that, and that's one time when Delta Slim is talking to Sammy about it, and then the other time is when Sammy and Remick, the vampire, have their encounter and they do the Lord's Prayer. Which I thought was a beautifully done scene, man. That was like genius.
So what do you think about the conversation with Delta Slim where he says this blues, this ain't like that religion that was forced on us. We brought this with us from home. What do you think about that?
I absolutely love that for a few reasons. Number one, when I was still on the fringes of the faith, one of my favorite theologians was James Cone, Dr. James Cone.
Yeah.
Black liberation theology. And one of his works is called The Spirituals and the Blues. And though it's not talking about it in the way that Delta Slim is, it is making the same correlation that both of these things, the spirituals and the blues are both things that come from this Black experience, but by highlighting the fact that of him saying that this one was forced on us and this other one is not. I thought that was so important because, a lot of times, even in the work that I do today, one of the biggest critiques that I get is you sound churchy, even when I do music sometimes, especially if I sing, man, that sounds like church music. And I often, that's one of the few things that offends me because like when I did this in the church, do you know what they said? They said it sounded like the world. The very same thing as you're saying sounds like the church, and so it's like you're falling. And so I like the fact that he calls out that I don't want to necessarily call it a dichotomy, but he calls out that relationship that these things are related because they're the same. The only difference between them is the force. One of these was forced on us, but they sound the same because they are the same. What made church churchy was blues, funk, and jazz. That is church. And then eventually hip hop came right on up in there with it. And you can see that in the modern church today, from the swag, the way the preacher dresses, to the way the call and response has evolved in the church. That's not something that religion created. That's always been a part of the human experience, that rhythm.
Well, my thoughts were, because I know I count myself a counter apologist to a degree because I was an apologist as a Christian. But when I heard that line, this is not that religion that was forced on us, I could hear the Christian apologists try, especially the urban apologists or black apologists, trying to say, no, it wasn't forced on us. There was Christianity in Africa and all that. And I'm like, I know what the Christian wants to say, but I know that a lot of times Black Christians in America, they often look at Africa as a country and not a continent. And so to say there was Christianity in Ethiopia, or there were, Christians, Coptic Christians up here, that has no bearing on what was happening in Central or Western Africa.
Absolutely.
And so the people who were brought over on those ships, had probably never even heard of Christianity before. And so it was a religion that was forced on Black people in this country.
Absolutely.
They didn't have that in West Africa. They didn't have that in Central Africa.
Absolutely.
So I thought that was actually a great point that I think a lot of Black Christians need to wrestle with. How did your people end up being Christians? Not was there Christianity in the continent at some point?
Come on. Yeah. I mean, and that's like, it's such a valid question for Black American Christians to ask themselves, because you're absolutely right. There being Coptic Christians or Ethiopian Christians has nothing to do with what was going on in Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, Niger, or any of those places, which is where many of us would have been coming from. But then not even only that, even once we're here, we cannot ignore the history as it has been passed down. So much so that this religion was forced on us, but then it was also forced on us in a specific way. Like, we're literally going to give you a different version of the Bible to make sure you understand which parts. You know what I'm saying? When you have your church services, we're going to be there to monitor your services. You can't have those services without us. And as a matter of fact, that African drumming that y'all used to do, cut that out. You can't do none of that while you're there. But and so much of our religious experience has been shaped by supremacy, which is a really good thing that I felt like the movie did really good with the preacher and that relationship. And they did it in a way without being accusatory. And that was amazing to me. Like, he handled this with almost surgical gloves, man, surgical precision.
My second time watching it, when I didn't have any more guesswork, because the first time I'm guessing, what's going to happen next? When are they going to bring out this theme? My second time, I at the end of the movie, I was sitting there saying to myself, like, this film is damn near perfect. Like you said, with surgical accuracy, the way it's like, and I watched the interview with him and Michael B. Jordan, and he talked about having his script and everything he wanted to see. And then he said the way actors help him, especially Michael B. Jordan, they get on set and he says, I like it when actors come to me and they tell me this feels false. Because I want to make it more true. And that gave me language for something that I often think when I'm watching this, I'm like, you wouldn't say that in that situation, or you wouldn't say that like that. But as I watched the second time, I was like, nothing felt false. It all felt like that's exactly how you would deal with that, how you would respond to that, how you would. It was almost perfect.
Man. I mean, even down to small details like Smoke being in love with the bigger, darker woman, which is not a trope that you get to see in television often, but it is reality. And that was I remember looking at my wife and I said, I just love that. He's in love with this big, beautiful, big woman. And so many times in media, we're tempted to make everybody this perfect size, and this perfect view. And to me, like, this felt like the Black experience that I grew up with. Like, oh man.
So then let's tie that into what you said a minute ago. I wanted to tease it out. Now we can get to it. You talked about the twins maybe being a depiction of the double consciousness of the African in America.
Yes.
If you were to carry that theme when you were frozen, I was sort of explaining to the audience what that was about.
Yeah.
But if you were to carry that theme through, do you think that Smoke represented the
Mm.
African or the American, or was Stack the
Ooh.
American or the African? And then how does that tie into their love interest? Because one of them was
Mhm.
interested in a black woman who was passing as white.
Yeah.
The other one was attracted to a woman who was clearly black, and like you said, had a full body. So does
Yes.
the double consciousness even apply to their love interest?
Yes. I think that is such a profound question, and it's really hard to unpack. Like, which
Mhm.
one is the African, which one is the American, and
Yeah.
it's not even just for them. That's hard to unpack for us.
Yes.
Period. That's why even WB Du Bois starts separating himself from it a little bit, because he couldn't figure out how to actually separate
Yeah.
it, because the two are they're the same.
That
The
quantum entanglement.
Yes, yes, man. The way, I think the way that I ended up describing it was helpless and hopeless.
Mm,
One of these is like a response to helplessness. The other is like a response to hopelessness. And helplessness is no one's gonna do it, so I'm gonna do it myself. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Dang it, I feel like there was another way I said it, because I know that's what I wrote down the first time. But it was just this dichotomy. So I don't know if I can split them up between African or American,
Got you.
but it
Yep.
was one sees opportunity, the other sees caution. And
Mm,
that is where I live every day as a
mm.
black man in America.
Wow.
That everything that presents itself to me, I have to look at it as opportunity and or caution. And the thing is, the crazy thing is, that's actually not a unique experience.
Hmm.
But because of the trauma of my ancestors, I feel it more deeply. You
Yeah.
know, the truth of the matter is, everybody sees that. Everybody has to look at opportunity. What opportunity is this? Is this oh, this is opportunity, it's the land of the free. Oh, but there's risk here, there's caution
Mm,
here. But because of the traumatic story that I've not only had to, has been passed down to me through genetic memory, but has also been a part of my education system. It's been a part of what is of how I've been viewed by teachers. It's how I've been viewed
mm.
by authority figures in the community. So like, to wrestle with it, it's a lot to unpack. Like, it's a lot.
Well, speaking of that, Mary's character, right?
Yes.
The black girl who's passing as white. I was watching the interview with her, the whole cast was together, and she was talking about how she prepared for her role.
Yeah.
And she said, because I think she actually is
She
biracial,
is. Mhm.
right? So she said playing that role actually helped her learn about a part of her history that she had never investigated.
Wow.
And then she turned to the cast and she said, it was important for me to let the rest of the cast, who's clearly black, know.
Yeah.
She said, I wanted them to understand that I understand that I'll never understand.
Wow.
So it was important for her, for the rest of the cast to know, like, I'm playing this role here, but I've never had to go through what you guys have went through. So
Yeah.
I understand that
Yeah.
I'll never understand. And so when you talk about, kind of like reliving or sort of just having this, what was invested in you from your ancestors,
Yeah.
there's some people who, because they don't have the lived experience, have been able to curve that.
Yep.
And we couldn't curve it. And I don't know that we would curve it, but like you said, with that opportunity comes that caution because of the things that you can't curve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And you see it literally from the beginning to the end on how they respond. Like, I think when they're first getting their truck and they're
Mhm.
looking at the weather, and one is saying, hey, I think this is a perfect day to set up. And others like, hey man, we're late. And he's like, but man, it's a beautiful day. And
Right.
tonight could be a good time. And the other guy's like, or it could be a misfire. And
Yeah,
it's just
that's
like
perfect.
that's real deal,
Yeah.
But then even when they're at the building a few scenes earlier, and they're talking to the white man. I can't remember his name. I'm just gonna call him the white man. Y'all forgive me. But they're talking to
Hog something.
yeah.
McHog, something with a hog in it.
Yeah. And that there's jokes there. There are
Mhm.
jokes there,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna leave them alone. But they're talking to him, and when they kind of get this vibe off of him, one of them says, "We got grown man bullets," and the other responds with, "We got grown man money."
Mm.
And I just like seeing that play off of them,
Yeah.
because it's like, one is like, I'm willing to kill you, and I was like, we don't got to do all that. We'll pay you,
throughout the whole movie, right? You kept
Yes.
seeing this juxtaposition at the juke joint when they realized, I forget now which one it was, but I think it was, I might get this wrong. Smoke, who realized that, hey, they're paying with these wooden nickels,
Yes.
and Stack is like, no, we're not having that.
Yep.
And then they
Yep.
have to kind of caution, like, yo, man, we I get what you're saying now about the double consciousness, because there isn't one mind, but if you put
Yeah.
those two minds together, they work brilliantly.
Yes.
You can't have one without the other.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man.
I thought Michael B. Jordan did an excellent job with his two characters.
Yeah.
I was afraid that he was going, you know what I mean? I
Mhm.
don't know if you saw the piano lesson with Denzel's son, David Washington.
No, I didn't. Dang,
Yeah.
where have I been?
I don't think you're missing anything. Like, it was a disappointment. I
Wow.
loved him in Tenet. I loved him in, there was something else I saw him in. But in the piano lesson, I hated it because I could not buy
Yeah.
that he was a Southerner. Like, he was
Wow.
murdered, like butchering the accent. And I couldn't finish. I watched like 20 minutes. I had to turn it off.
Dang.
But Michael B. Jordan, like,
Yep.
on this one,
Yep.
nailed it.
Oh man, it was beautiful. Even the subtleties, just accents all the way across. Like, dang, I cannot remember her character's name. But the bigger girl, her accent
Annie?
yes,
Mhm.
including the yes, Annie, no, including the Haitian accent, the Haitian dialects under her accent, with infusing with the Southern tone. Even with the Asians, with them having that Southern accent going in and out, like man, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
What'd you think about the introduction of the hoodoo, where she starts, talking about how I thought that was so for those who are watching on my channel on Sunday, we're going to do a group discussion on the movie, and we're going to dive into the theological implications. But I'm curious, when she started talking about, they had lost a child, and she said, he told her that your hoodoo, that stuff don't work.
Yeah.
Why it ain't work? She says, how do you know? You've been in all these wars, you've been all over the place. How do you know? You're back here standing in front of me with two arms, two legs, two eyes.
Yep.
You're not maimed. How do you know that it wasn't my hoodoo that kept you safe this entire time?
Oh
And
man.
he's got to think about it like, damn, could that have been? I immediately saw the implications for, isn't that what people of faith do?
Yes.
Like, you find some kind of way to still count it as a victory. You can't prove that it was your thing.
Yep.
But hey, nothing bad happened. So, and I was doing this hoodoo stuff. So you can't say it wasn't that.
Yeah, for sure.
So might as well say it was.
Yep. That moment felt really really real for me. Number one, because like my great grandmother, great grandmother was actually a root woman. So that's another thing that's kind of a part of my legacy, and so I'm used to hearing that conversation at different junctures. And then a very not well known secret is that a lot of large pastors in the South visit root women for whatever reason. They visit them like once a year to get a prophetic word, and now, and I'm not saying all of them do it, but there's enough of them to do it where it's a statistical norm. Like it's it's a thing.
Wow.
And so, but it's so integrated with culture down here. But it's one of those reasons because religion is highly syncretic or syncretistic, rather.
Yes.
And so it's really easy just to absorb things and keep them there just because Big Mama did it, or Uncle Jojo did it. But his response to it was what I really enjoyed, because that reminded me of some of the things that some of my uncles would say. And not necessarily about the hoodoo, but that's literally what they would say about church. Is if your prayers work, what happened to our child? And I felt like that did a really good job of echoing Black disappointment in superstition that often doesn't get platformed. We almost pretend like that disappointment isn't there, that disillusionment isn't there, but it is there. You know, it's
Now,
been
see,
there
that's
for a long
interesting you
time.
took it that way because I took it as skepticism on his part.
Yeah,
But I see how you could take it as, nah, like God let me down. Maybe I would
yeah,
have believed in this the whole time had it worked on our child.
yeah,
And so I
yeah,
could see it as it, the disappointment there. That's an
yeah.
interesting point.
Yeah, it's man, and I think that's what makes the story so rich is that there's so much to pull out of it, and I
Mhm.
think that's something me and my wife laughed about last night. Is like that's how you know something is good. Is you can watch it a few times, and every
Yeah.
time you watch it, you see something different. You see something in a different frame. That's how you make something worth watching. You know, like I said, I've watched it 3 times already, and I haven't got tired of watching it yet. You know, if my kids say, "Dad, can we watch it again tonight?" Let's go, let's do it. You know,
Can we jump to it now? I'm trying to think. I think the climax of the movie for me, and which was probably the climax for almost anybody who watches it,
yeah,
is when Sammy. Oh, so we probably should set it up. So they come on at the beginning of the movie.
yeah,
This great artwork that they're showing you, and they say that, they talk about the African. It's
the
actually West
griots.
African. I don't know if in. So now I wish I had the script. In the movie, do they narrow down what culture has the griot, or do they say in Africa?
I feel like they did say West Africa, but honestly,
Okay, because it
I
is a
may
West
have
African thing.
superimposed that. I may have superimposed that because I knew it was West African.
Right.
You know, but so I'm not sure if they called it
I
out.
hope they did. I mean,
Yeah,
he does his homework, so I hope they said West Africa.
yeah,
But the griot, the person who's responsible for carrying our song, our
yep,
story, giving the prophetic word,
yes,
all that's the griot. And other cultures have their same kind of character, but they call it something different.
yeah.
And then they said this person has the wish I had the wording down, but basically they're so gifted with the way that they use music.
They pierced the veil of something.
They pierce the veil between life and death,
Yeah,
and even between the past and the future.
yeah,
So
yes,
they can call souls from the past and the future. So you hear that at the beginning, and you're like,
yes,
oh, whatever.
yeah.
Then they get to this scene where Preacher Boy
Ooh,
in the juke joint breaks out his guitar and starts singing his song.
man. Oh
Come
my
on,
goodness.
man.
This moment was like somebody had commented on my Facebook post and they said there's one scene that makes
Yep.
the whole movie worth
Yep.
watching. And as soon as I got to the scene, I
You
went
knew
back
it.
and I said, I think I'm at the scene now. I think and it was because I remember it snuck up on me. He's singing, and I'm like, okay, it's nice, it's nice. And I love the blues, and I'm like, oh snap, now, okay. But then, and I'm like, I'm kind of going on my business, and I look up, and I'm like, that Jimi Hendrix? That's like a Jimi Hendrix lookalike up here. And then that mom said, let me pay attention, and I didn't catch it all the first time, didn't catch it all the second time. Last night I'm watching, I'm like, oh my goodness, you got twerkers, you got people spinning the records, spinning the vinyls. You have people, you have the African
So wait,
spirit dancers.
your first time that some of that missed you?
Yes. Like the
Oh,
first time,
wow.
the only thing, the first time I caught the DJs and
Okay.
I caught the Jimi Hendrix and then I
Okay.
caught the African witch dancer. I missed the Alvin Ailey dancer. I missed the Asian dancers. I missed
You
the
caught the
African.
Funkadelic, like the
Yeah.
George Clinton guy.
Yes, there was the guy who came out like on the Quintar or something. I don't know what those
Mhm.
things are called. And I had missed all of that the
Oh,
first time
wow.
because I was
Yeah.
working while I was doing it.
Okay.
And so I had just looked over and saw the Jimi Hendrix guy, and I was like, okay, hold up, I got to pay attention a little bit.
Oh, see, I can't watch movies with you. I need everybody in the room to be focused on the screen the entire. I'm the movie warden because you might miss something, and I want you to enjoy it as much as you're meant to enjoy it.
Man, yeah. Oh man. But it was beautiful, man. Even when the Asian couple and they got up and they started dancing and they integrated the geishas into their
Yes. Yo, I told my sister, I said, I think that might be the best 5 minutes in cinema history.
It was rich, man. It was rich.
Here's the other thing I thought, and you might think I'm tripping when I say this, but I felt a type of way, and it was the same type of way
Mhm.
when I watched Black Panther for the first time.
Mm.
that scene at the waterfall where they're doing this, the everybody standing around and they're about to
Oh,
do the
yes.
whole electing a new king,
Yes.
and they showed the entire community on the cliffs, on the mountains.
Yeah.
I felt a kind of like pride and just like,
Yes.
and I felt the exact same way during that scene in Sinners.
Oh, yes, sir. Oh, I 100% identify with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's just, I don't, you know, there's a part of it is because obviously I'm an African American. There's another part of it because I'm a musician. There's another part of it because I'm an artist. And so it was another part of it because I'm a historian. You know,
Yes.
and I love culture. And so
Yes. Yes.
to see somebody do something that was so
Yes.
appreciative of all of the characters involved in the story, they could have easily overlooked the Asian characters. They could have easily chose to demonize certain parts of the Black music experience and said, no, we're not going to include that part. And instead they said, no, we're going to tell the whole story. And I'm like, man, it almost makes me want to cry.
Yep, almost. Actually, I'm frozen for a second. Let me see. Hopefully, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so hopefully it'll come back. Let me. All right. You almost make me want to cry. I can say this: as a Christian, there's certain parts of the movie that I would not have been able to appreciate.
Yep.
And it's probably none of the parts that you think. Man. It's not the hoodoo part. It's not the vampire part. It's not even the part where the vampire starts quoting the Lord's Prayer. As a Christian, I would have been able to stomach all that.
The twerking,
yo. As a Christian, I would not have been able to appreciate that as a part of Black culture that's worth celebrating and putting in that kind of a montage.
Oh man. Oh,
I would not have been able to do it. Now I'm looking at it like, yo, this is us.
Yes.
This is Africa in America.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Oh man, dang. Like you man, the sad thing is, Brady, not even just for me as a Christian, probably about the first 5 or 6 years after deconverting, I still would have had that same struggle. Like, why would you choose to glorify this part? Not realizing that, oh man, I still got some deconstructing to do. You know, and it took me some while, and so now I try to be cautious of myself with that. Yeah, even to this day, realizing you can't be in something for that long without it impacting how you view nearly everything. And so I got to constantly check myself. Like, why do you feel that way? Like, why do you feel like you should even have an opinion on that like that? Like, man, you know. Oh man.
There's another scene that I'm going to spend some time talking about. The scene at the door of the juke joint. And if I skip over anything that you want to go back to, please just go back to it. But the scene at the door of the juke joint where Remick is trying to gain entry in, and they're trying to tell them how much better life will be if you just let us in. Yeah, because you're not free anyway, and you're gonna die anyway. But if you just let me in, I got almost like traumatic Christian vibe from that scene.
Man,
like, the Jesus figure telling you, behold, I stand at the door and knock. Let me in. Like, damn, like it was almost like, yo, like I don't want to go back to that. Like, did you feel some kind of way with that scene?
Oh man, like so with Remick, I had so many thoughts, right? And you saw some of my notes. So I had a lot of thoughts about Remick. But that scene in particular kind of brought me to this place of thinking about those are the options: annihilation or assimilation. And the assimilation is at the cost of loss of identity. And I'm trying to, I hope I can remember this evangelist's name right. I think her name was Priscilla Shire. Yeah. I thought of her in that scene because one of the things that her theology is profound for, one of her most profound messages to Black people is that you are a Christian first and Black second. You know, your identity is in Christ. And so that's when I saw Remick making that offer, I definitely felt that, like, that's yes, we're gonna make this better for you, but the cost is that it's not you anymore. It's us. It's all of us. Your identity's gone.
I had a hard time with that because not theologically, just theoretically, because they said Annie was saying what happens with, she said, these ain't haints, these are vampires. And what
Yes.
happens is the soul, because with the haints, your soul gets replaced
Yeah.
by this evil thing. With vampires, the soul is still in there, but it's trapped.
Yes.
The soul can't go on to where it needs to go. It's trapped in. So I'm like, so then isn't that still stacked if his soul is trapped in there? So like,
Yes.
what's the big deal if it's still, if it's
This-
still him?
Seemed like Stack got the better end of the deal at the end of it, you know. I think I kind of think that's intentional.
Hmm.
Is that because while my first thought was the theology of it, right? But my second thought, okay, looking at this as the church, because this is literally what the church does to Black people. But this is also what many people in the entertainment industry say is happening in the entertainment industry, especially when you think about it in terms of IP, intellectual property,
Mhm.
and being able to own your own stuff.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you say, there are people in the entertainment industry right now that are getting robbed blind. But if you compare their lives to the people who didn't take that route,
Yeah.
which one would you choose? You know, and it kind of feels like that's almost what he wanted to do with Stack. Is to like, while we all know he's a victim of the vampires, he was bitten by the culture vultures. He is literally a part of them. He living, he alive, you know.
Yeah.
And that's not just a perspective for many people. That's their reality, and that's what makes it hard for some people to choose or to even find what being authentic means, because you're looking at the options. You look at the options, the people who stood up for what was right, the people who stood up for justice, they got killed, you know. They got lullabied, they got rockabied, you know. But the people who, you know, yeah.
Well, so let's talk about the culture vulture aspect, because you had some things in your notes. I don't know how much of it you want to get into. We can go as deep as you want.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So you talk about the music industry.
Mhm.
You talk about people not owning themselves, or people not owning their masters, or owning even their culture, if their culture is being cannibalized or appropriated. And I know that there are people who saw in, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
the vampire is white. The
Mhm.
vampire attacks two other white people who were members of the Klan, Southern white. The main vampire was not one of them,
Mhm.
but he attacked two of them. He actually saw their Klansmen hoods and went in and bit them, made them vampires too.
Yeah.
And then the first one from the other side, the side that, you know, the protagonist side, I guess, the first one from them that gets turned is the one who's passing for white. So for the first part of the, you know, the turn in the movie, all of the adversaries are white or passing for white.
Mhm.
There's the temptation to think this is a commentary on what whiteness does to Black culture or Black music.
Mhm.
Somebody in the comments, let me see if I can find it. They said, where was that comment at? Okay, I passed it. Here it is. Damn, I'm not gonna be able to find it. But somebody in the comments said, I think it was brilliant to make the head vampire white.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not white, Irish.
Irish.
And that's
Yes.
important. It's important that it's an Irish guy to me, because they played up so much on the Irish culture
Mm-hmm.
that to me it almost robs the person of the ability to say this is the white man doing X, Y, Z.
Yes.
Because the Irish in America, if you look at the history of the Irish in America, for a period,
Mm-hmm.
the Irish had it almost as
yeah.
bad as the Blacks in America.
Oh yeah.
And so to make the head vampire Irish, it almost seems like, well, they can't be saying that then, because the Irish didn't play that role.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yes.
Take it away.
No. See, I love that, because I think, and he did say that he chose for Rennick to be of Irish descent. Like, that was, he wanted that to be unique. He wanted to have that unique storytelling aspect. I actually did put, I grabbed some notes on that. Let me see if I can find it just real quick.
Okay.
Remix Irish identity serves multiple purpose. Ryan Coogler stated that he wanted a unique and specific master vampire who pre-existed racial definitions, and Irishness provided that uniqueness. And then secondly, the film explores the historical connection between the Irish and the Choctaw peoples, with Remick exploiting this solidarity for his own purpose. The reason that I like the Irish twist, because of course you saw in my notes, my feeling when I was watching it the first time, I said, okay, you cannot help but to see the subtle critique on exact where the first act one of the movie is at, where how whiteness impacts blackness, taking it to media, specifically this controversial relationship between blacks and Jews. He goes further though, and I think this is what he does masterfully, is to show that it's not a relationship between blacks and Jews. It's not a relationship between blacks and whites. It's a relationship of multiple minorities who are fighting the tide of marginalization and are trying to find a way to exist in that friction together.
Now that I can work with. I can work with that. I don't have any pushback. I don't have any pushback for that. I love that. Yeah. Because there's something that we skipped over in the scene where they're coming from the train station, where it's Preacher Boy, it's Stack, and Delta Slim.
Yeah.
And they see the guys working on a chain gang, incarcerated African Americans who've only been arrested. He tells the story. They said we were loitering. Yep. So now we end up in the chain gang. Basically, we're slaves again.
Yep.
And so, but then he tells this story. He says, while we were incarcerated, these policemen, these white policemen, made us go play at these rich people's houses. And they're making money off of our talent. So that's where I would have seen the critique in terms of cultural appropriation or somebody controlling your culture, controlling your music, as opposed to what you just said about the minorities. And we can go back to that now. Either fighting each other like crabs in a barrel to try to figure out who's going to get control of the means of production, whether it be art or instruments or whatever.
Yep. Because that's really what you kind of get from Remick's character. And again, I think the writing was masterfully done here, is that when he shows up outside of the club after this magnificent scene, when he shows up, he is drawn in by Sammy's talent. And it is a true sense of admiration. And it is a recognition that, man, what you have is powerful.
Yeah.
And you and I doing something with that could be absolutely amazing. And that's sometimes in the friction of being minorities in a marginalized world, that relationship can become so toxic, not even intending to. And like I said, that's why I thought this was masterfully done, because it takes some of the most controversial conversations that we have and presents them to us in a way with enough nuance that we can safely consider all possible perspectives. And that's the beauty of fiction to me, period, is it allows us to consider scenarios, consider other outcomes. And again, it just shows us all of these people are simply trying to exist, and they all have a strategy to do so. And Sammy is the person who's trying to figure out which route he wants to take, and we get to kind of live that with him.
Yeah.
Kind of vicariously go on that journey with him.
So Remick says something to him that I think is a highlight of the movie, when he finally gets him in his grasps, and he says, I want your songs, and you're going to have mine.
Yes.
That was a little, like, that was the horror for me. For me, it wasn't the fangs or the blood. It was I want your culture. I want the power that your culture or your music, I want that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to give you mine. And they did display Remick's culture. It was like, yo, that's kind of fire what y'all doing. But like, that's y'all thing. But I didn't know what to make of that. I'm going to take yours and you're going to have mine.
Man. Well, I think we're already living that. Because when it first started, I'm like, Irish? that's odd, like literally, like what? But as it goes on and I'm listening to the music and I'm like, oh, this is dope. This is dope. And I'm like, it's not just dope, it's also familiar. And I start thinking, why is this so familiar for me? And I start thinking just little small things because my mind is weird. I'm like, you know what? Actually, I've heard a lot of comedians growing up make fun of like river dancing,
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I'm like, but then Leprechaun in the Hood. That's what jumped up in my head. And I was like, I wonder, are there any other connections? Like how long are there any other connections between Black media and Irish culture? And I think I do find a little bit, but even in watching it in the movie, when we as a people make music, we don't stop at the bounds of the Black cultural expression.
Yeah.
We go into other cultural expressions and we incorporate that. And that is the horror. That's the horror of integration. That's the horror of global exposure, is that especially when art is the medium, because if we're two artists, the longer we're together, I am gonna have your songs and you are gonna have mine. And that's what we end up doing with music anyway. Music, our music's like our music does it. It's scary, but I think it's where we at.
Well, especially this generation, like today, you can't look at somebody and guess correctly what kind of music they listen to. Like,
yes,
the invention of the playlist that you get to create on your own, there's no such thing as I listen to this kind of music anymore.
Yes.
So, so I guess moving from that, do you think Remick died?
Oh, dang! I have not even thought about that question at all.
Because what happened at his demise was this fiery spiral that sort of just walked it off.
Yeah. Huh. No. Okay. So I want to hear your thoughts on this because, like,
so it's interesting to me because when we first see him, it's daytime.
Yeah.
And vampires can't be out in the day.
Yeah.
So you see him and his back is peeling and all. He's got to get inside, but he was out in the day.
Yes.
So I think the Choctaws, the Indians, they were doing something with him or to him. He got away, but he was able to exist. That was enough to make me think, okay, then when when he spiraled out in that fire thing, was that his demise, or was that him just saying, later for this, I'm out of here? Like,
that's a good,
because they never really address it other than let you just think what you're going to think about it.
Yeah. I promise I had not given that any thought. I guess my mind went to, because the other ones that were outside, but they were outside. But I assume, there it is. Yep. Yeah, damn. Okay, so now my mind is open up because I was like, I assume that because they're all dead, that they died because he died, but they died because they were out in the sun. Because again, that's the difference between the vampires. You have to kill them individually, even though they feel his pain.
They feel his pain, but they don't die because he dies. And so, no, you're right. Because even when he shows up in the first scene, he lands. Exactly. I thought that too.
Yes.
Did they want us to think he landed?
Yes.
And then later when he attacks Mary, he flies up.
That's right. Yep.
So he has to have landed when we first see him.
Yes. So, it's possible that was just his exit, like, I'm gonna burn up and fly away.
What did you think about Smoke's death?
Oh, okay. So, that one I felt like I saw coming. Yes, that one I felt like I saw coming because that was, I'm not going to say it was my critique of the movie because it's not really a critique. I enjoyed how they did it. It was that protected him, that thing that he had on. I forgot what she called it. But the
I know you're talking about the little chain with the
amulet on it.
Yeah.
So he has the hoodoo rabbit foot or whatever. And so when he sits down and he takes that off, my first thought was, I think he's choosing to die. Because
bro, I didn't even catch that. I mean, like the second time when he ripped it off, I was like, why are they showing us that? I didn't even think to connect it to that. Go ahead.
It was only because when he saw it protect him, when his brother was trying to bite him. Every time Stack tried to bite him, he couldn't. It was like,
Yeah, my sister caught that because I missed
Yeah.
it. She caught that. Yeah.
And so it felt like when he sat down that he was just going and making that decision to die.
Because he was taking the guns out the trunk. Like,
Yep.
I know what it is.
Yep.
And why do you? So yeah, like that's interesting. Because I'm like, I wouldn't be mad if he, you know what I mean, lived in.
Oh man. Well, I think okay. So I have a few ways that I could try to interpret that. Right. One of the ways is this is like disillusionment and revolutionary suicide. Because his character's thought was money is power. And as long as I have the money, then I have the power, you know? And he had the money, bought the building, and then found out that it was actually a setup. You know? And I think I think there are several things that he's likely wrestling with as a character there. One of those things is, I don't know how to navigate this world now.
It's not without my brother. It's because my worldview of money and power, that's gone.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like, because now.
And no. Yeah. Well, keep in mind too, we don't know it at that point, but he knows that his brother is still alive. Well,
that's right.
As a vampire.
That's right. Yes. That's right. This is it almost feels like just like revolutionary suicide, that there's a lot of guilt with his character, you know. There's a lot of guilt over everything that happened that night. And then there's just a longing for that other side, you know, which I did have a thought about that. Because that isn't that kind of the call of religion as well. That death is freedom. That death is liberty. Death is rest. I can finally rest, and I can finally be with my loved ones. And so it's like, ugh.
Well, if you put yourself in his mind, because like I said, we didn't know it at the time.
Yep.
But if he knows his brother is still alive, he's probably thinking, like, damn, I'm gonna have to fight my brother every night. Like, he's gonna come back trying to turn me.
Oh,
yeah. He can't come out during the day.
Yep. You are
like,
yeah, man. Because he would have been persistent too.
And if he comes back, I may have to kill him, and I couldn't kill him the first time.
Yep. Dang.
So it's almost like, in order for, because I want my brother to live, I've got to die.
And that takes us back to that double consciousness, that struggle. Man,
his death was a sacrifice, actually.
Yes, man. Oh, that's heavy. That's heavy. I didn't see that one coming. Damn. Oh, but that's real. That's real. Like I said, let me ask you this: Did you at any moment have you seen The Color Purple, the original, the movie?
The original, yes.
Did you get at any moment? Did you see any type of connection between Color Purple storytelling and the way this story was told?
To be honest with you, I'm not as familiar with it as I need to be to even make that. But I saw you talked about it in your notes.
Yes, it was just the way they centered the Black experience around economics and church and the juke joint. That is the exact same thing Color Purple did. Color Purple, the main spaces for Black people that are in competition is the church and the juke joint. And our main characters, Hoppo, Mr. Son, Hoppo, is building this juke joint, and the family's kind of managing it. And then Suge Avery, her father was the pastor of the church. You got the juke joint on this side, the church on this side, and there's this struggle. And then at the end of Color Purple, there's this scene. It's one of the most powerful scenes in the movie where they sing "God is trying to tell me something," where the church is singing the choir is singing the song, and the band, Suge Avery, is down at the juke joint singing with the band, but she kind of hears the church off in the distance, and she said, "You know what? Come with me." And so she leads the people from the juke joint to the church, and she's singing the whole way there. And this is a beautiful scene. And so for that, there was a little bit of nostalgia for me watching this movie. I see that. And I don't know if he did that on purpose. I don't know if that was him tipping his hat off to Color Purple, or if it just so happened to be, during this time, this was the Black experience. This is where that competitive goes.
So if that was playing in your mind, Did you think that it was maybe leading towards some kind of triumphant moment for the church? Like maybe the preacher man or the
Yep.
light was going to call Preacher Boy away from that?
I was so waiting for,
Mm,
like, of course, like when he starts saying the Lord's Prayer, I was like, this is it. This is it. Lightning is about to strike the vampire or something, and then Sammy's gonna go back to church and give his life to the Lord. And
mm,
so that didn't happen. Instead, Remick started saying the prayer with him, and I was like, "Oh, that's cold-blooded, yes." And so then, but then when he got back to the church, and they set me up because of the
mm,
conversation that he's having with Smoke before they go,
mm.
and
Yeah.
Smoke is like, "Bury that guitar." And he's like, I can't. It's Charlie Patton's guitar, you know. And I don't want to give too many spoilers, but
Yeah.
you know what it is. But you know, and he's like, I can't. So I'm like, okay. And I remember at the beginning that was the thing that his dad was telling him, you got to let go of that guitar. And
Mhm,
so I was like, oh, that's what he's going to church to do, to lay down the guitar.
mm,
And so I did feel like they were going to I thought they were going to take me there, that they were going to make this a moment of redemption for him, and that this night was going to be the reason he decided
mm.
to give his life back to the Lord.
That would have been a
And
terrible movie.
oh my goodness, it ate me up so much, man.
Two things would have made it a terrible movie for me. Because of the way he was clutching the guitar, I
Yes.
thought they were going to do something corny,
Where
like he drives the guitar through Remick's heart, and that was
yeah,
the stake that killed him.
yeah,
That would have been entirely corny.
yep,
So would him growing up to be a preacher, or him going back to the like that would have just been too like, sometimes art imitates life, sometimes life imitates art. But there's certain
yes,
things you don't want to put on the screen because you're not trying to encourage people to imitate that, are you?
yes, yes.
And so I'm glad that they didn't do that.
Oh, thank you, man. Oh, I am too. I was so grateful for the way they faded that scene. Because I like I said, I was waiting for the moment. I was waiting for him to drop the guitar, and they were going to fade to him preaching in the future. And
Mm.
instead, I see him in the truck driving away, clutching that guitar for dear life, and I'm like, yes, mother, yes. Oh,
What do you think the message was there? Like
oh,
I drove back to the church after this
mhm,
crazy night with the devil.
yes,
I walk into the church. The preacher, my dad tells me, drop the guitar, son.
mhm,
Drop. Like you went back to the church for something.
yep. I think he went back to the church because Sammy is committed. You get up before the work, don't let the work get up before you, is something he said to his
Mhm.
dad.
Jump on the work before the work jump on you.
There it is, yeah.
Mhm.
And he committed to be at his dad's church every Sunday to play.
Mm.
And I think that was him going there to fulfill his commitment.
Wow.
I think the interaction with his father reminded him so much of the interaction with Remick that he came to the conclusion that this is the same thing.
Wow. Wow. What? I'll tell you what I thought, but that just wow, yo. Say that again. That's
Because it's, he comes in and the language is let it go,
Mhm.
give it up, give up
Mm.
your identity. And I think at that moment, because that's the thing that he's been wrestling with kind of this whole story is, who am I? Who do I want to be? I've been hearing about Chicago, I'm hearing about these other places. And he loves this music. This is the one thing he's been lying to his dad about, don't want to break his heart with it. And then at this moment, he realized, like, I feel like at this moment, he realized, like, this is still the same type of vampirism. He
Mm.
he loves
Wow.
me, but he is trying to use my gifts just for him and just for what he wants to do with it, without allowing my identity to breathe through it, which is the
Mm.
same offer that Remy's making me. And it almost feels like him having that guitar, especially being that he just used it to save his life.
Mm.
He's like, I'm not about to let go of the thing that just saved my life. I just found my strength. I'm
Mm.
not about to give it up now.
That's powerful.
Yeah, man.
I'll tell you what I thought. Here's what
Yeah.
I thought was going down with that scene. Because when believe it's Smoke that has the conversation with him, which one was it that pulled the gun on him?
That was Smoke. Yep.
All right. So when him and Smoke had the conversation, and he tells Smoke, like, yo, after that, time we just had downstairs, this is what I'm going to do. I'm leaving the plantation.
Yeah.
I'm going to do. And Smoke tells him like, no, this is the trouble version. Talk about the double consciousness, right?
Yes.
Smoke says, go be with proper black folk, like over in Arkansas, wherever he was talking about. Those are proper black folk. Don't do this version.
Yes.
Don't do this. And he tries to tell him, like, yo, my dad wants me to stop doing this. And he said, no, this is what I'm going to do. He pulls the gun on him. Then once the vampires come out, Sammy says, this is all happening because of me.
Yeah.
My dad told me the devil was going to come for me.
Yeah.
This is that. He sees it. He sees that his dad was right. He faces it. He survives it. Why does he go back to the church? I think he goes back to the church to show his dad, not that you were totally wrong, but I've seen the worst. I've seen what you said was going to happen.
Ooh, I like
and
that.
Guess what? I'm still not letting this guitar go.
Yeah.
I saw the devil face to face.
Yep. This is a victory.
Like you just said, this guitar saved me.
Yep.
I'm not letting it go. So just so you know,
man,
he gets back in the car and he heads north.
I love that because I can definitely see that. It's him saying, you told me the devil was going to come for me, but the way you presented it is that he would come for me and it would be over. I'm letting you know he came for me and I'm the one that's still surviving to tell the story. Like that's a powerful message of authenticity right there. That like, you know, throw your worst at me, devil. I got it. Like that's, but that's what living has to be. Damn. Oh, that's what living has to be. Living has to be like, if I'm going to be here and I'm going to be here on purpose, I got to be willing to face what comes. I cannot be running from my fears. I can't be intimidated out of activity. I can't be intimidated out of agency. I don't care how scary it is. If I'm going to live it, I've got to be able to live through that shit. And so like that, man, that's powerful.
For the deconverting person, that is a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
I can't run back to my comfort, to my safety blanket. If I feel like this is why I'm here, whatever your guitar, let's get metaphorical, whatever your guitar is, somebody grab your guitar right now. Hold your guitar.
Oh man.
But I could hold on to this thing that I know this is me, or I could run back to security.
Yeah.
And this thing that I know is me, it might come with some quote unquote, I probably shouldn't even use this language because our minds are so superstitious. We might trick ourselves into thinking that this is more than just a metaphor, but I'm saying this metaphorically.
Yeah.
This thing that I'm clinging to might come with its demons, might come with its hangups, might come with this, but this is me. This is where I'm headed.
Yeah.
Or I could run back to being false. I could run back to safety and have to let this thing go. And I think that speaks to the deconverting person for sure.
Man, that's beautiful. Damn, that's beautiful. And you know, like, and that really shows your commitment to the deconstructing space. Because I didn't even see that lens at all. But now it makes me want to go watch it a fourth time, and this time watch it from that space, because now I can clearly, because at the end of the day, it is a story about finding your own authenticity and finding out how to live in that bravely, you know. And if that's not for folks deconstructing, I mean, that's literally what we're trying to do every day of our lives. It's just find a way to wake up and be us, you know.
So we didn't talk about this, but we probably should have, just because of the connection.
Yeah.
The story of Robert Johnson.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Hold on. Take me there. I got a few things right.
So he's the original blues guy, most people would say.
Soul to the devil.
Exactly.
Okay. Yes.
And not even really the devil. Like I didn't know this until I heard Ryan Coogler say it. So Robert Johnson, one of the original blues guys, but they say originally he was not as good as he became.
Yeah.
And he went away and came back like 10 times better than he was.
Yeah.
And so this story developed, this narrative developed, that he met. The story often gets told as the devil.
Yeah.
But Ryan Coogler says, no, originally it wasn't the devil. It was some like African god or something like that.
Wow.
Something that starts with a P. And he says, but then the way the religious people heard the story, it quickly became, whatever that figure was, that was the devil.
Yep.
But Ryan Coogler says that wasn't the original story. Either way, the legend is Robert Johnson meets this supernatural figure at the crossroads sells his soul, and this supernatural figure, the quote unquote devil, tunes his guitar for him to the point where now he's like one of the best blues players ever.
Man.
The idea of making this deal with the devil, or if not the literal devil, doing this thing that's so ungodly that you might as well be the devil.
Yeah.
Preacher Boy chose, he saw the power that it had to conjure, that this vampire even wanted it. Yet that was not enough for him to part with it. And he spent the rest of his life. You got to think he's probably, what, 16 in the movie?
Yeah.
And now he's in his 60s, if not 70s.
Yes.
He spends 50 years doing the thing that his father told him that's inviting the devil. And he even saw it.
Yeah.
Like, I guess I don't even know what my question is, other than I wonder what they were trying to do with the Robert Johnson connection there of, is there something dark about the arts?
Oh man. Well, see,
such that you can't get that good at it unless you are dabbling in this, in the dark
something else.
Yeah.
And I guess they kind of open it up that way by telling us about the griots and the fire keepers in the very beginning, attaching it to this, to not just the tradition, but also to this mysticism, if you will, about being able to pierce the veil and being able to pierce the veil and the conjure. And so, man, that's a lot to sit with, because they went so many different ways with that one than I would have thought. That would have, like, if there's no point in the movie where they really demonize music, right?
Yeah.
Which is,
well, you're right, because in that opening scene they say it can conjure spirits from the present, the past, to pierce the veil between death and life, and they said it can also, I think they said, invite. What did they say? Invite negative spirits or something like that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't necessarily negative.
Right. So it's like, it's kind of like where you were opening up with, it's the risk of doing it. You know, it's like what you're doing, it can do all of these beautiful things, but there is a risk that it can also do these other things, and you don't want to do that. And that actually reminds me, and I think I may have shared this story with you before in our interview, but something happened like 2 or 3 years ago. My son was playing in the pool. My younger son was playing in the pool, and it was just an inflatable pool, and he was just diving or jumping too close to the side of it. And I'm thinking, like, dude, you're gonna get caught up in there, and you're gonna get wrapped up. And so parent brain goes in, and I'm like, boy, stop, you know. And then I walk in the house, and I come out and said, don't do that anymore. And I walk in the house, and I'm saying, and I asked myself, I said, is that the message that I wanted to send? And so I go back outside and I say, hey, I'm sorry, that's not actually what I meant. What I meant was, that doesn't look safe for me. So that's what I got scared of. But I do not want to send the message to you to be afraid of things that are not safe.
Wow.
What I want you to do is to learn how to navigate danger, you know? And that kind of takes me back to what it's kind of like what Sammy is saying that he's willing to do now. Like, this might bring some risks, but come with it. I'll navigate it. And that's the only way to actually live life, and, you know, and kind of enjoy it.
That's an excellent point, man. Anything else we didn't cover you want to chop up on? Because I think that we went from top to the bottom. Well, I guess we didn't talk about the reveal at the end.
Oh man. Ooh, well, I did want to talk about the dynamic of the Asian characters a little bit, because I love that. And actually, I want to go back. I want to hit the Choctaw people real quick, because I thought it was beautiful the way they integrated them. But one of the biggest questions that people have had about the film is, why didn't we see them more? And because we see them in that one time, but we don't see them anymore. And I was kind of expecting at some point, like at the end, it was like, I was thinking it was going to be a gangbang of everybody's going to be taking out the vampires. So we're going to see the Indians come back and help out, and that's not really what happened. You know what I'm saying?
How about that?
I think that's
a good point.
You know, I think that was purposeful, to show that, okay, these natives and these Negroes at this time are living very different lives, and there is a great white wall of division in between them. And so the only times that they're really integrating is, and at this time that stuff has slowed down, but is when people are escaping from one place going to the other, and then we're mixing together and stuff like that. But outside of that, America had done such a great job of trying to separate us as much as they possibly could. And I think that's the separation we see, where it's not an apathy, because we literally see that where these white people are, I cannot remember their names, where these white people are, where Remick Lands is apparently very far away from where the juke joint is and from where these black people are.
Yeah.
And so I think it's actually just an issue of distance, that they are so far removed from them.
Well, I think it's distance, and you just made me think of something I hadn't thought of before. Ooh. I think it's distance, and I think it's visibility, because just in regular life,
come on,
how often do we see Native Americans?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, it is because of the distance. Yeah. But it's still just that lack of integration, that lack of, you know what I mean? They're not visible. And so it almost would have been odd to see them more.
Yep.
Because we don't see them more.
That's right. It's like he was aiming for accuracy there. And I think he did a good job of it. I think he did because it's like, because even my wife, who, you know, lived in New York and DC the majority of her life, she saw Asians all the time, you know. So she was very surprised to see, oh, y'all had Asians down there too? And I was like, we did. We did that. We did not have Asians in large numbers, or we didn't see them in large numbers now. But no, I grew up everywhere I lived in Alabama. You know, but I love
that's shocking to me, because I thought like little Korean stores, the Chinese stores that I grew up with in the hood, I could not envision what I saw in that film. Like when I was growing up, I thought it was just in the hood. But then when we jumped on here tonight, and you said that sort of was like,
because really? like that was our hood. Like that was like, wow. that was definitely our hood. But like it would have been odd if he would have sprinkled like 30 to 40 of them in there. Then that would have felt just as inauthentic as bringing in the Choctaw back in at the end to help with the fight. So putting this family in there that is tied in with the entire community, speaks the community's language, knows the community stories, that's reality. Like those that it was I cannot praise this movie enough, man.
I'm sitting here right now like plotting to go back and see it. And the sad thing for me is, I don't know, did you get to see it in IMAX?
I did not. I need to do that.
Said he shot it to be seen in IMAX, and it wasn't playing in any IMAX theaters in my whole city.
Wow.
So I wonder like how much even greater would have looked seeing it the way it was shot to be seen.
Dang. Oh man, I'd probably lose my mind, man.
But I'm sitting here plotting to go back and see it again. Like it's a great film. Anybody who's not seen it, like, or who's not patronized it, I know there are ways to see films without paying for them. While it's still in the theaters, go patronize this film.
Man. Oh, can I tell you one of my favorite subtle scenes?
Okay.
When they're in the car riding, I think it's Stack, Delta Slim, and Sammy. And this is this is after Delta's telling the story about the chain gang. And at the end of the story, he stops talking and just lets out a moan. And then that moan turns into him just stomping his feet and clapping his oh my goodness. That right there, I felt every bit of that. And that's why I think I said earlier in this conversation that felt healing for me, because it was a reminder that this presentation that I've developed, that's a part of my expression as a human being, it's not just church. This is like, because that's no different than what I'd see in many of the churches I grew up in. But that's because those churches were filled with Black people, you know, filled, you know, and that's that expression. I've seen that in church, out of church, and it made me feel so good as a person who expresses themselves that way, you know.
I don't know if you saw the interview where they were talking about this scene, but Del Orlando says that scene was improvised.
Wow.
And they shot it like from a bunch of different angles, like going around the car, and they just had to keep on, like, just keep going. They improvised that scene, and I think it was so. That dude is amazing, yo.
Oh,
Like
Delroy is
to
awesome.
understand the thing we're talking about is so deep and traumatic and intricate and just so it speaks to the depth of humanity that people could be that cruel to each other and that
Man.
other people could survive it.
Man.
That he couldn't put words to it.
Yes.
That he had to just hum out what he like. Here's how that how the rest of that story goes. I can't even tell you. I just have to hum it. And that was improvised.
Man, that's heavy. That's weighty. Like I felt every bit of it, man. Every bit of it. Every bit.
I'm trying to think, is there anything that I'm missing? Because that's a good one to have it on. I'm sure there's so much more that can be said.
Did you catch when the Asian lady calls Smoke out on his hypocrisy? Just a minor point where, because after she finds out her husband has been turned, and Remick says something to her in her language about attacking her daughter. And at that moment, she is ready to go to war.
And she's asking him why he's not.
She said, I saw you shoot somebody out there in the ass for touching your truck. And these people have literally killed your brother. If this ain't go time, what is? And that was, I thought that was so beautiful because they're weighing different things.
But he's the one that was always cautious, right?
No,
Stack was the one that was a little more taking risks.
Yep.
So he was just being his cautious self.
Yep. Well, I think it's almost like the
No, because Stack is the one that shot the guy in the ass.
Nope. Ooh, yes, I think. I don't know. No, I think it's Smoke. I don't know.
No, you're right. It was Smoke.
It was Smoke because he goes to Anne's house after that.
Yep, you're right.
Yep, okay.
I was about to say I was real twisted just now.
Man, they're twins, man. They look just alike.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing I was thinking through the movie as well. Like, I know a couple twins, and when I haven't seen them for a while,
man,
like I don't just be like, I can't not see them in 7 years and know which one I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So for a country for Cornbread to have not seen him in however long he was gone and know that was Smoke right away, that's not realistic.
No.
Even Mary, when she walked up on him, she was like, "Is this Smoke or is this Stack?"
That's right.
Like, that's realistic. Did. And she slept with one of them.
Yes. Apparently had a really good time too. Apparently had a really good time.
That line was crazy.
Yes. Oh man. Man. I did enjoy the sex scenes too. I don't feel like, not to say I would have been mad if they overboard it, but I didn't feel like they went overboard. I think like everything stayed so well within the flow and in the world of the story.
For sure. Everything was done tastefully. It was done to the right amount. It wasn't too much. It wasn't gratuitous, and it wasn't too little. And even the scene that I'm saying was the best 5 minutes in cinematic history.
Oh man,
that scene to me, I want to say it could not have been long enough, but I think it was just long enough.
Man. Well, I got to ask you about the Pale Pale Moon scene.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yes.
That was I watched somebody's reaction to it, and they said they never thought they'd be dancing to somebody getting stomped out, to a song, but that was
crazy.
That was beautiful.
And did you realize it's like they were stomping them out on beat?
Yes.
Yes.
It was like it reminded me a little bit of Michael Jackson's Rock My World when they're getting ready to fight and they got everything going. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, it was rich. And I loved her performance of singing, like her just very raw, animalistic performance of this.
Yes.
While this, that was a very attractive moment.
There's so much. So now you're making me think about other stuff now, because she's married.
Yes.
In there messing around with Preacher Boy. Now we know why Mary is messing around with Mary. She's married and still in there messing around with Stack.
Yes.
Or with Smoke. I'm sorry. No.
Stack.
With Stack.
It was Stack. Yeah. Yep.
So she's married, but Perlene,
Uh-huh.
she's married
Yep.
in the club wilding out. What did you think about that?
I didn't catch it the first time around. So when I watched it the second time, and I was like, are they gonna explain this? Like, is her husband gonna show up is he gonna be a plot point here? And it was no,
Like, she's
no,
got no connection to this kid. She's
nope.
got no, like, you know what I mean? Mary was in love with Stack.
Yeah.
That's why and not only was she in love with him, she had already been turned.
Yes.
And so you don't even know if she would have done that had she not been turned.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, man.
But Perlene, yo.
Man, Perlene just out here wilding, man. She's living her best life. She is you know, I feel bad for her husband. I don't know what he has going on. But they could have an arrangement. According, people do that.
Hey.
Will and Jada did.
Hey, I'm not going yucky your yum. If you like it, I love it.
I love it.
We got some super chats. Let me go back up to get the super chats in.
Yes, sir.
If you got a question or comment that you definitely want to be addressed, throw that thing in the super chat. It could be as low as $1, $1.99. Somebody super chatted a righteous amount.
Oh,
praise
snap.
God.
Goodness gracious.
All right, let me scroll down and see. We jumped in, and Puggles just threw a heart in.
Oh.
Appreciate you. And then Puggles was back with a sticker, super sticker. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Puggles. Beautiful.
Is Puggles one of your
yes
regular? Okay,
that's one of my news. That's one of my newer ones. And it's great seeing you, Puggles, man. This is beautiful.
If you're not subscribed to Durante Lamar, you know what to do. Subscribe to Durante Lamar. Can you just tell us some of the things that you're doing on your channel? Or what's coming up?
Yeah, right now, like I pretty much try to stay consistent with putting out at least 3 videos a week, and my content is for the most part focused on helping people think through deconversion, deconstruction, and life after, how to rebuild life, how to deal with the rise of Christian nationalism, how to deal with people trying to put their beliefs on you, how to deal with it respectfully, and basically, I'm an ambitious person. How to make a better world. That's really what my content is all about. I try to make it very clear that I am not an American humanist. I am a global humanist. So I care about humans everywhere. And so because of that, you're going to get some of that on my channel. You're going to hear a lot about global humanism over there. And that does sometimes bring me into conflict with some others, but it's beautiful, healthy conflict. Because it's a way that we kind of get to hold each other accountable at times and remind that, if we're going to be humanist, then that can't stop at the borders of the United States. Humanism is humanism. It's not nationalism. But yeah, so I talk about a little bit of everything, man.
Okay. Anything special coming up soon? Any events you guys are doing over there?
Yes. So technically, you pulled me out of sabbatical. I'm supposed to be on sabbatical from live shows right now. Okay. But you pulled me out of sabbatical, and it just so happens I've been trying to do a video with Dr. Bird for a whole year, and we finally got together. Yes, we finally got together. So we're doing a live on Sunday about biblical marriage.
Nice.
And this has been in the works ever since you saw me on your channel.
Okay.
This has been in the works ever since then. So we're going to talk through what biblical marriage is and whether it's something anybody should actually want. And
Sunday, what time?
At noon. Sunday at noon. We're going to go for an hour.
Okay, noon Eastern.
Noon Central.
Noon Central. Okay, so what's that? 1 o'clock Eastern.
That should be 1 Eastern. Oh, don't do me with the time zones.
Noon Central, y'all. So check that out. And if you're not subscribed to my channel is Ichabod.
Yes.
You see it there under my name. But yeah, I do very similar deconstruction, deconversion. I think I'm more focused on deconversion, reasons why you don't need to be worried about believing the Christian message anymore, and why once you deconstruct from Christianity, the same tools will allow you to deconstruct from anything that people have dreamt up to suck your mind into superstition. And so we talk about that thing. I was a Christian rapper. When I was a Christian rapper for about I don't know, 20 years, two-time Grammy nominated. So I do a lot of deconstructing my old Christian rap bars on the channel. I interview people like I interviewed Durante to tell their what I call life after faith stories. How did you come to Jesus and how you realized that it was a fraud? And so I help people tell those stories. If you have a story like that that you want to tell, maybe you want to do it on my channel, Ichabod. But either way, check out the channel, subscribe, and make sure you like this episode. And we got one more super chat I saw. No, two more. One was a super sticker, I believe.
Ooh.
And it was again from Puggles.
Man, Puggles has been on it. Thank you so much,
You know what I
Puggles.
mean?
That's beautiful.
And
That is
then
beautiful.
I know I saw another super chat. I'm scrolling through right now. This is the last call for alcohol. If you got a question or comment, throw it in the chat.
Man,
I'm looking for this last super chat, or at least the latest one that I saw. Okay.
I will say after this, I am definitely looking for. I'm definitely looking forward to whatever Ryan Coogler does next.
Oh, that's another question. Do you think this could be a series?
Oh, I'd love to see it as a series, man.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's just because I'm still on the high of it right now, but I would absolutely love. I mean, to me it has all the markers for it. You know, I could see that working very well, and it's already gained a cult following. You know, so I could see people being really excited about that.
Yeah. I'm thinking of more questions, but I'm looking for this other super chat. Oh, I just found it. Do you think Preacher Boy made the right choice at the end?
At the end,
The stack says, "Hey, I could end this pain for you, and you could you could do this thing forever, yo."
Man,
because they was living pretty large. He got the four-finger ring.
Man. You know what I'm saying?
Sweater.
Got the Coogi, yes. I'm like, honestly, that's a hard one. I respected his decision. I don't know if I was in his shoes, I would have made the same. At that moment, I feel like, you know what? I got to live my life out as a human. Let me spend a little time as a vampire. Let me go ahead and stick around a little longer. You know? But that is me. Like I do love life that much. Where if there was a way for me to stick around a little longer, I'd be interested to try it out. You know?
That sounds like a whole other episode,
right, man? Oh my goodness, yes, yes.
All right, we had another super chat from Goats Over Sheeps.
Oh man, Goat Herder. Oh man, that's my homie.
No, I don't think that's Goat Herder. I think that's Goats Over Sheep, unless that is Goat Herder.
I just thought because he did the hashtag at the end.
Oh, the hashtag. Oh, this is Goat Herder. My man. I didn't see the hashtag. I should have read the whole thing. More combos from Synergy and Brilliant Reasoning galore. Fire. Heart.
Love it.
Goat Herder.
Man.
Also, if you have not subscribed to my guy, Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy, this is him right here.
Yes.
Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy. Check out his channel. He does basically taking his heart, wrapping it in his art as an AI artist and a rapper, and just all kinds of subliminal art on his channel. So check out Goat Herder's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yes.
All right, now I'm headed back down to the bottom. Another super chat here from IAMJCC.
Beautiful.
Thank you for the $2 super chat. Appreciate you.
Man, I am trying to see what that profile pic is that has caught my attention.
One more, at least another one. Super sticker from
Lee B.
Lee B.
Yay.
Am I saying that right? Is that a supporter of yours?
That is a supporter of mine. Now, Lee B, you got to tell me if we're saying it right, because I don't know if it's Lee or Lay. And
so we got a street here in Philadelphia, and it's Lehigh Avenue, and it's spelled that way. But I also know someone named Leia, and she spelled it that way. So I don't know.
Man, look, I ask every time. I'm like, because I'm telling you, if you leave it to me to guess, I'm probably gonna get it wrong.
All right, there's a few more. Thank you for the super sticker.
Man.
Gerald Winston.
Oh, beautiful.
$1.99 super chat. Just throwing it in the chat. Appreciate you.
Beautiful, man.
I'm gonna let you say this name.
Say Amare Love, $1. Thank you, sir. That is beautiful, man. Like I didn't realize people were going to enjoy this conversation this much.
Yeah, and this was just freestyle off the top.
Yeah,
but...
off the cuff.
All right, I think that's the last super chat. So Sunday at noon Central, check out Durante and Jennifer Bird. I wish I could be on there. I'm gonna be doing the group chat with my Patreons, but
that's right,
I definitely will check it out afterwards. And the one that we're going to record Sunday, we'll be posting that probably sometime later next week. So if you're not in that one live, it's not going to be a live stream. It'll be a recording. And you don't need to show your face. If you want to get on the call, you can get on the call without showing your face. So I know there's some people who don't want to expose that they're into atheist or agnostic, skeptic content. So you don't have to show your face or anything right now. One more super chat just came through from Mark David.
Oh, Mark. Thank you, Mark.
Can you talk about Bridge City?
Oh, man. Yeah. Bridge City Global, man. This is our big purpose is to be a better way to connect, to help people find a better way to connect to themselves, others, in the world around them. Our mission is to build community beyond superstition. We platform Sunday sessions right now to kind of model the experience for people. But you can learn a lot more about us on our website, bridge.dldd.us. If I have anybody out there in the chat, will y'all please put it in the chat for me? But you can find out more about us, what we do. If you're interested in building a community where you are and you're looking for a framework of doing that, a roadmap, then I'm definitely doing my best to play my part in helping you do that. We got a membership course now that's absolutely free for people who just want to know if this is something that I want to be a part of. You can go through that course, learn everything you want to learn about Bridge City while interacting with other people who are interested in Bridge City. There are assessments, but they're not assessments, sorry, they're forum questions. So you actually get to kind of talk to other people and to really see, how do you feel about it? And it's a real beautiful experience. And a little controversial, I'm building out a secular ministry framework.
Somebody
so
had to do it,
actually license.
I'm glad it's you. Somebody had to do it. Let me see if I know what that is.
Yes.
Because people have asked me if I would ever do this, and I don't think I have the chops for it. But basically, I could be totally wrong, but it sounds like a replacement for church.
Absolutely.
Can you say any more about that, or if you want to keep it on the wraps for now, it's up to you.
Nope. It is community without the superstition, and it won't happen overnight, of course. And I wish it could, and it could. People typically don't feel that confident in themselves and their abilities, and so there needs to be a spark. There needs to be somebody out there who's encouraging people, and that can't be just one person. So what we're going to be doing is training people to be secular ministers at a base level. That'll just give them the opportunity to offer support services to people who want to get married, people who want funerals. People
I just had somebody ask me to marry them.
Yes.
This past week last month I had to get certified to do it.
Oh, that is so awesome. And the more we do that, I think that was one of the first things I said when I came on your channel. When we did the interview, is that one of my goals is to normalize this, is for this to become a more normal thing, for people to live beyond belief. And in order to do that, there has to be people out there who can offer that space. It can't always be hard to find somebody, it can't be hard to find a place. And so the next phase of that training program is literally training people to build local campuses or churches where people can do community together, that's centered on community and conversations, but then also groups, whether they're groups that do mission stuff in the community, adopt the teacher, adopt the block, or whatever, feeding the homeless, doing things, and then also hobby and interest groups where you can, you got kids who may be interested in music, you got people who may share, they maybe want to start a book club. But it's just creating space for people to do community. And it sounds beautiful and stuff at the beginning, and it is, but it's bigger than that. That becomes a framework of actually being able to do something about the state of our society. when we actually have several loosely affiliated campuses, churches that are already actively doing work where they are. When something happens like what's happening in this country right now, instead of us all just being mad, we actually have places where we can congregate and get some stuff done.
So you about to be Bishop Lamar.
Oh man. Oh yikes. Oh yikes. It's insane. It's honestly scary for me. I talked about it I think 3 weeks ago on a Sunday session that I've been playing this very close to my chest. Like I've talked about Bridge City a little bit over the past year, but that aspect of it I was definitely not comfortable with, and really wrestling with my own baggage of what I walked away from being a pastor for a very real reason. And being a pastor is not easy work, you know, and it's and being a pastor in a society, being a pastor in a superstitious context, it's mentally traumatizing. It is not healthy. And so just even the thought of putting myself in something that looks close to that is at times traumatizing for me. And so
my initial thought is I cannot imagine, you know, Jesus talks about take my yoke upon you, my burden is light and all that. I can't imagine how much lighter the burden would be to organize something like this without the superstitious expectations.
Yes.
Because if you're not trying to sanctify people and you're not trying to turn them into some spiritual non-reality, and you're just dealing with reality, and it's not your job to be the shepherd of their soul.
Yes. Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, and whatever mistakes they make, that's on them. That's they chose that. You're not their soul's shepherd.
Man.
So I mean, I'm not saying that to say it's going to be completely easy, but
man,
it's just a completely different world.
Yep. And it's a reality that you have to be intentional about, right? Because I know that's even something that even now, like because people, even when they're away from religion, they will gravitate to those superstitious tendencies of, well, you're the leader, save my life. And I'm like, oh no, that's not what this is.
So you're not even signing up, because I think there is a secular version of that, which is life coach. You're not even venturing into that.
Nope.
Okay.
Because what we don't want to create, or what we don't want to mimic, is that dependency struggle of creating this system where other people need you in order to move forward, or you have something special. It's like, no, this is we want to be as far away from that, and that's actually something that we go in big detail about in the training for that one, is that your job is not to be an authority figure in anybody's life. Your job is to hold space. So like, even when we talk about leadership, we'll always try to talk about leadership from a place of function, not a place of position. Like, you don't have a position over anybody. You have a function that you're responsible for.
Yeah.
And so, you
should tell that to the president.
Oh man. Oh
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's a whole conversation.
That's another episode. Dion Lee Way. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I hope so. Thank you for the $5 super chat.
Thank you. That's beautiful.
I saw one from my guy, Mo Wheat. I said, do y'all think, where's it at? Boom. Do y'all think the twins were two sides of, wow.
Oh, I like that.
Two sides of Preacher Boy.
Oh, I like that. Oh.
Mo Wheat, are you going to be in the Patreon Sunday? Because you need to bring that up in the group.
That makes so much sense. Oh man. Because then that's who the story is about. The story is about Sammy.
So hold on, because you know what I thought? I thought this at one point, and I didn't think it again until you just made that comment on Mo Wheat's comment. At some point when I was watching the movie, I said to myself, so who's the protagonist and who's the co-star? Like, because your heart, maybe it's the name recognition, you're drawn to the movie because of Michael B. Jordan.
Yes.
But then he's not playing one character, so you can't say it's his character. He's playing two characters.
Yep.
So are both of his characters? But no, you got Preacher Boy. So who would you say is the main character?
It got to be Sammy. It has to be Preacher Boy. He's literally he's the first person we see and the last person we see.
I'm going to go a different route.
Okay. Oh,
that was a trick question because I think the real answer is not even in there. I think the main character is the legacy of Black people.
Damn. Okay.
This thing that can be carried on from generation to generation, from one geographic place to another. This thing that's coveted by others. I think it's that legacy or that ethos or that, I'm trying to not say spirit.
but like it's I feel that. I feel that. Because then I kind of go back. I said Sammy's the first person we see, but that's actually not accurate. The first thing we see are the griots.
Yeah,
that's the first thing we see.
Yeah.
So Sammy is actually being presented to us as a vessel for the main character. So I do like that. The main character is that legacy of Black experience. And I guess and I see why you were struggling with legacy, because it's bigger than legacy. It's not just what has been, but what will be. And so. Legacy and lineage, I guess,
or say I say this way: it's not what has been, but also what will be. It's that what is now always has been and always will be.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That. Oh man.
So Moe, I don't know if we even addressed your question.
Oh man.
Two sides of the Preacher Boy. That's interesting.
I love it. I love seeing that dynamic.
Yeah. One more. We got My Unique Monique. Loved the convo. Thank you for the nuggets. And this is also Monique. This is also some of what I was going to be doing on Sunday, and I know you can't be there Sunday before. I wish I could say the reason why you can't be with us on Sunday. You let me know in the chat if I could tell them why. I won't say anything more than why, but I won't give any details. But if you don't want me to say anything, I won't. I can't wait till that story gets told, though. I think that was the last super chat.
Oh, man.
Yep, that was the last one. Okay. So, all right, y'all. Thanks for coming out tonight. We're glad you guys came to the Juke Joint. Thank you, Pragmatic Crystal, for always being on point.
PC. I don't know why every time I see Pragmatic Crystal in the chat, in my mind, I always go, PC, are you with me? I don't know. That's where I go every time in my mind. Yes.
You was churched.
Oh, man.
All right. Y'all go ahead and enjoy your night, and we'll get back with you.
Y'all have a good one. Keep rising. Oh, man.